everyone, and welcome back to What's Up WID, the World Institute on Disability podcast, where we discuss what's up in the disability community across the globe. If this is your first time here, I'm your host, Angeline Akai-Lodi, and on today's episode, I'm excited to share with you a great conversation that I had with Angeline Akai-Lodi. Angeline is a Kenyan disability rights advocate who is currently participating in our Community Solutions Program Fellowship here at WID. She is also a chairperson over at the Access Network of the Blind in Kenya. Angeline lost her sight after contracting measles and has spent the last several years advocating for people with disabilities in the realms of education, employment, and accessibility. Angeline and I had a conversation about her experiences as a Kenyan woman with a disability and how she plans to use the knowledge that she's gained from her fellowship at WID to continue to enact change in her community in Kenya for women with disabilities and for the overall disabled population. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. My first question for all of our guests before we get started is always, how are you doing today?
I'm very grateful to be here and to just have a chat with you. Much appreciated.
Well, I'm very happy to have you here. So I can't wait to have this conversation. So if you could please tell us about your life growing up in Kenya as a woman with a disability. How was that for you?
It was not easy. It was never easy growing up as a child with disability. That is a visual disability. I am totally blind. I lost my sight the cause of my measles. Unfortunately, I was never immunized for measles, so it went with my sight. So, I grew up as a girl with disability, and fortunately, I come from an indigenous community whereby there are very many issues when it comes to children with disabilities. So they view any person with disability as probably a curse or something, a punishment from the gods, as they say. So growing up, I grew up not just from an indigenous community and as a girl, and children who are girls are not viewed as to be or to bring wealth in the community. Luckily, I had parents who are very supportive despite their background, meaning that I was raised in a background that we did not have it, the humble beginning where my parents had to, look for something small just to keep us going, just food or shelter, and it was never easy. So luckily, the education I got was from well-wishers who supported my education from primary level to high school and to college. It was never easy. Disability is interlinked mostly to poverty, and I thank those who supported me in one way or the other, including my parents who supported me to having the good education that I did. And there's a lot as a girl child and as a woman that I am right now. We face a lot of discrimination, first as a woman and secondly as a woman with disability. So that's a brief about me.
Like you said, disability is linked to poverty. It's the same way here in America. One system empowers the other. I'm happy though that you had your family there as a support system for you. That is amazing and wonderful. Can you share with us a little bit more about the overall sentiment towards, you shared a little bit, you talked about how disability in Kenya is viewed as like a curse from the gods. Can you talk a little bit about that, like the sentiment towards people with disabilities in general and women and girls with disabilities? How are they generally treated in Kenya?
There are a lot of challenges, though we are coming out of it slowly by slowly. Despite that, having the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability ratified by our country, Kenya, the implementation has been a problem. And so we face a lot of challenges. the CRPD recognizes that women and girls with disabilities are often at a greater risk both within and outside the home because of the violences, injuries, or abuse, or the negligence or maltreatment that come with it. And also, it's the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities acknowledges that women with disabilities are, subject to multiple discrimination, and further, it calls on all governments to take appropriate measures to ensure that there is empowerment of the same persons to guarantee them the exercise and the enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms. Um, we the implementation has been a problem, though we are trying. The Kenya government is really trying its level best. And as a woman with disabilities, it is not often the case that women and girls with disabilities would have the spaces, to exercise leadership, owing to many barriers that they face. Indeed, women with disabilities have decried the fact that their voices, our voices and issues more often than not fall within the cracks of both the human rights movements and as well as the disability movements. And when they when we cannot secure space that these critical social movements, we we see the leadership of women with disability relegated, to the margins, and we cannot articulate our issues as women with disabilities, or also in the tables, even spaces and issues that really concern us. So it has been a lot. It has been a lot of. We have a lot of challenges, from access to healthcare, education, and also political participation. Uh, we try our level best to try and get into these spaces in as much as they're not supportive to us. We get into the spaces, we infiltrate, and ensure that we have a voice, and the voice of women with disabilities are mainstreamed in the larger um, women rights movement. So a lot, we are facing challenges, even in the CEDAW, the convention or elimination of the issues that women face. We feel that also, and with the interactions we've had with a lot of women with disabilities, some are going through, for example, forced sterilization without their consent. Uh, we don't have rights that we feel we're championing for rights whereby we get the sexual reproductive health and rights with trainings and access to the same. Um, yes, there's a lot. There's a lot that we are facing as women with disabilities in Kenya.
Yeah, so the lack of implementation of laws, that's yet another thing that is a global issue that is very prevalent here in the United States and across the globe, that laws are passed to protect people with disabilities, but they're not ever implemented properly by the government. That is so common. Mm-hmm. And how are you currently working towards ending the discrimination towards women who are disabled, and particularly people who are blind in Kenya? Can you tell us about your work that you're doing?
I work with, or rather, I'm a chairperson of Access Network of the Blind. It's a community-based organization where we advocate for rights of persons who are blind or visually impaired, and also in the same organization, we ensure that we equip blind women with the necessary skills or trainings or just mentorship to ensure that they are able to speak out for themselves. Their voices, they are the voices, the shoe wearer knows where the shoe pinches. And for them to be able to have this knowledge and the training, for them to speak out for themselves, the discrimination against the women and girls with disability will eventually come to an end, because I believe first, there are women and their disability follows. So no one should be discriminated based on their disability or their gender. So we train them, we have mentorship, and we also ensure that we have these dialogues or create the spaces, enabling environments where they are able to articulate their issues themselves.
You're doing some really important work. It's really interesting
Thank
all of
you.
the
Thank you.
yes, absolutely. It's interesting all of the overlap that, as you're explaining this to me, so many of these issues, all of these issues are also prevalent across the globe, but yeah, a lot of commonalities are resonating with me
Yeah.
as you're talking about your story. A lot of those issues go on everywhere. People with disabilities, particularly and women with disabilities, are marginalized. And I'm so glad that you're doing this important work to change that and to give women agency to speak out.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. So you've been a fellow with WID for a couple of months now. What have you experienced as a fellow, and what projects have you been working on?
The experience is super awesome. The experience has been great. Actually, I'm a fellow of the Community Solutions Program,
Mhm.
and also WID has come in handy in ensuring that I get the necessary skills that I think or feel that I had or did not have the same skills, because being in an organization that is 2 years old, and as a volunteer of the same organization, because we don't even have funding. We have never received any funds, so we work in from our own little money that we get. CSP has really helped me or equipped a lot in empowering myself to ensure that I give the best that I can in the community. And WID has, like I said, come in handy to equip me with the necessary skills, like, for example, grant writing and accessibility testing, which honestly I feel that is very key in my country, because the websites are not accessible. Currently, I am learning a lot on grant writing, and I'm sure very soon I will also roll out the issue of accessibility testing in the website in our country, Kenya, starting from the government and to the corporate, just to ensure that we are not left behind in terms of accessing information in the websites and in the digital platform. So I am really humbled to be part of this and glad that I am learning a lot, and this will go a long way in ensuring that I offer the best that I can in Kenya and support my very own persons with visual impairments who in the past have been left behind um, in terms of development. Yet we also contribute to the well-being and the development of the whole country, Kenya. So this, I'm sure, will be a gone case whereby persons with visual impairment are left behind, will not, but will be part of the whole processes from the inception to the policy implementations. And yes, we will benefit, we'll all benefit. So much appreciation to WID and the CSP team for coming up with this very noble cause, whereby we get trained and eventually we implement in our various respective countries.
Mhm. Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit more about the grant writing experience and what specific things that you've learned about grant writing and also the accessibility or user testing? Can you tell us about what exactly you've been doing and yeah, a little more about what you've learned doing those two projects?
In accessibility testing, I'm still learning. Whereby, it's very true that we in Kenya are facing challenges accessing this website. And what I am learning right now is how to involve this the government, for example, and the corporates, and ensuring that are they are cognizant to the fact that um, we are a larger population of persons with disabilities, and different sectors of disabilities access are different. So as blind persons in Kenya, we are facing accessing these websites or the portals, the digital platforms is hard. So I'm learning that, just benchmarking and the good practices of America, that they are able, that WID has been at the forefront in ensuring that accessibility is taken good care of, and we can replicate this to my country, Kenya, and the whole of Africa, to ensure that we make these platforms accessible for all. So I'm still in the learning process, and currently I'm taking I'm so excited about this in making sure that this is implemented in my country. And or secondly, we have these many corporates, like I said earlier, in government institutions, and there are policies in place that, or laws in place, that they should make these platforms accessible for all, including persons with disabilities. But I think they need more push. The same, we need to push them and to show them how they can go about it. They might not be aware of how to go about the same, so they need someone to, or a group of people, to let them know that this is happening. So that's the learning, or that's the lesson that I'm learning from the CSP team. And on grant writing, wow, you know, uh, I'm taking home that there's a process that needs to be done. We need to put our houses in order, and our objectives in place, and how to go about our activities, things that we do not in the past have never maybe put the records in place, what we do, how we have done it, and why we think we should do the activities. We have not recorded the things that we've been doing. So that's the learning that I'm learning from the grant writing, and in ensuring that there's proper monitoring and evaluation processes of funds that might come, or funds that are coming within the organization, and how we are working on the sustainability of some programs.
Can't get enough of What's Up WID? Great news! We've recently welcomed a new addition to our What's Up WID franchise, our monthly newsletter. Our What's Up WID newsletter highlights our latest blog posts, podcast episodes, videos, and news media features every single month. To sign up, visit our website at www.wid.org and click on Sign Up for email updates from WID, located on the left, and subscribe to our monthly newsletter so you never miss out on What's Up with WID. If you're a fan of the What's Up WID podcast, you can show your support with a small monthly donation starting at just 99 cents. Make a contribution today by clicking on the listener support button on our podcast website located at www.anchor.fm/WID-org.
Why do you think that accessibility is so important, and how could it really change the lives of people with disabilities? Why is it so important that we make websites and everything really accessible?
Very important. It is very important to make, for example, the websites accessible for persons with disability, because in the past, we used to use a lot of money even to buy the newspapers that you would not be able to read yourself, newspapers that you are advertising for jobs, for example. And for example, if I'm a blind person, I'm not able to read these newspapers. I need to look for someone who might maybe require me to pay for this person. I may require some form of payment. And for you as a person with disability who's unemployed, for example, you're not able to even cater for your basic needs. How are you going to even cater for the money for someone who's going to help you submit or read for you this newspaper that is advertising for a job, for example. This accessibility is very key, because if these issues are taken good care of, persons with disability are able to be self-reliant or independent. They're able to select for themselves. They're able to, be part of the whole processes, part of the conversations that are arising in the digital platforms. They're able to, be, like I said, self-reliant or independent. You don't need someone to be there for you. You can do it yourself. And if you have the necessary skills, you are trained, or you know how to use these gadgets like the screen readers. You don't need someone to do what you can do yourself. So it is sort of a level playground, a level play field, whereby it bridges that gap for the persons with disability, and the non-disabled persons. So it bridges that gap. Accessibility is very key.
And how do you plan to use the work that you've learned as a fellow? How do you plan to use that within your community in Kenya?
Wow, planning a lot. My prayer is that everything that I'm planning will come to fruition, and the implementation will take place. That is my greatest fear. I just want to implement everything that I have learned, and ensure that I equip everyone, the people that I work with the same relevant information that I'm gaining from here. And this has given me more energy. It has invigorated me. It has given me more energy to continue working how I can do, my level best in ensuring that implementation of projects, and ensuring that persons with visual impairment live a life with dignity, and also just removing that notion where persons with disability are viewed as agents of charity, and change that to persons with disability being the agents of change, being part of change, and bringing the same to the whole larger society. That changing that mindset of people. I will come up with several projects that will ensure that the visibility of persons with disability being agents of change, and not objects of charity, the way people usually view us. So I'm going to implement more of this, changing the narrative, and ensuring that persons with disability are the fore in advancing their rights.
That's a great plan. And I think that once you leave us, you'll be very equipped with the tools to do so. So I'm really excited to see what you're going to do
I
in your
am.
community.
I'm already having those skills, and I'm
Mm,
open to continue learning more.
absolutely. Yes. What advice would you give to women and girls with disabilities in Kenya and really across the globe? Because we talked about how these problems are so pervasive in all countries. So what advice would you give to women and girls with disabilities within their communities who are trying to enact change, but are facing discrimination? How would you advise them to navigate that like you're doing?
Wow, I will tell them that the road is never smooth, it is rough. But
Mhm.
the only thing I can tell them is not to give up, never giving up. People, like here in Africa, they will call your name, they will name call you with your disability. You will be abused emotionally. But we, as disability rights advocates, we don't give up. You should never give up, but continue taking those challenges as a stepping stone, and saying that yes, if these are the challenges, I'm willing to, because we'll be creating there's a generation that is coming after us, and if we don't create an enabling environment for them to come and see what we have done and how they can continue with our legacy, we'll do nothing. So I can tell them not to give up. The road is never smooth, it is always rough, but the most important thing is not giving up, and ensuring that we talk, we have that voice, we voice our issues, we engage with those people that we should engage with, and also being part of the whole processes, even if it means for you to, get in there when women, for example, the women are talking, the mainstream women, like they're always called, are talking about their issues, and you feel that there's a gap when it comes to women with disability. You get in there and speak out for the millions of women with disabilities who have no one to speak for. So it's for us to wake up and say that it's enough is enough, and right now we need to be felt and heard.
That's fantastic advice. And I'm curious, what advice would you give to the Kenyan government and really, again, governments in general across the globe in regards to including people with disabilities and accessibility? What advice would you give to the government?
The advice that I can give to the government is that we, disability fraternity, are a bigger number. We are a large number, and no one should be left behind because of the disability. And the policies that are in place, the laws that are in place need to be implemented. So I urge the government to ensure that no one is left behind because of the disability, race, gender, and all that. They are not left behind, and all the policies that come up put into consideration the well-being of uh, us persons with disabilities, and to ensure that we participate meaningfully in all those processes. I always say participating meaningfully in all processes, because if we are given, we are viewed as an afterthought, whereby they come with policies that none of us or no one with disability was involved in. It will not make any sense, because no one knows where the shoe pinches. It's only the shoe wearer that knows. So the government should ensure that they include persons with disability in the decisions, and also in the processes that are required for policy formulations. And government should ensure that the laws that are in place are implemented to the latter, and that we are treated with dignity and respect, because the laws are there. If they are there and they are not implemented, that means that a certain number of persons feel marginalized. And this is not the era where we should look people and see that they are not, they don't have any meaning to the society. I like this principle in the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability, whereby it talks about meaningful and full participation of persons with disability in the society. So in the past, we were not included, but right now the constitution and the laws that are in place, which many countries ratified, the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability, we have been relegated to the margins. We have, in the past, we have been not participating in everything that pertains us, but now for us to feel included in the society and in the development of the countries, we need to be part of the whole process.
I could not have said it better. You said it so eloquently. And yes, they need to implement the laws, not just pass them. It's about implementing them and including people with disabilities in every realm of the planning and of society. So that's fantastic advice as well.
Just want to say that this is a great opportunity, and I'm very much humbled to be part of this conversation. And I hope everyone is doing their level best. The person with disabilities is doing their level best in ensuring that disabilities lives are treated well. I mean, any person with disability should feel respected.
How can people who are not disabled, how can they join in this fight for liberation and equity and equality for people with disabilities? How can people who are not disabled, what is their role in all of this?
Wow, they have a big role to play. Remember, these non-disabled persons are our sisters, our friends, people that hold our hands in schools. They're people that are very passionate. They have a very big role to change the narrative and to ensure that we in the conversations that they hold, they should not leave anyone behind. I just like this phrase of not leaving no one behind. So they are very important. They are at the core in ensuring that we, persons with disabilities, lives matter. They should ensure that the voices are there. They should be the voice when we are not there. They should say that they should speak out when issues or, for example, violence arises and persons with disabilities have been attacked and things like that. They should be at the forefront. And in fact, not just persons who are non-disabled, but also other partners, for example, in the legal justice system, in the government, in corporates. They should not leave us behind. They should be there with us. They should ensure that persons with disabilities issues are dealt with, because we are part of the larger community and we are part of the bigger community. And if our lives or our lives is affected in one way or the other, their lives also will be affected. And if we live a life well, they will also be there and celebrate with us. So they will be they are at the forefront. In fact, we should partner together with them and not they should be part of these whole conversations. They should work hand in hand with the persons with disabilities in ensuring that the rights of persons with disabilities are adhered to.
Absolutely, yes. I think there's strength in numbers and in a community, and we need as many people out, fighting the good fight, in order for people with disabilities to be granted the rights that they deserve. I think we need everyone.
Yeah.
We need as many people as possible, like you said.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Angeline. This conversation was amazing. It was really great and thought-provoking to hear that there's so many similarities in your country to the United States, to so many other countries across the globe. It only makes it more increasingly clear that we really do need to fight to change the world on a global stage. And it was just fantastic to have this conversation with you. It was great. So thank you
Awesome. It was
for talking
great.
to me.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
It was so great to have this conversation with Angeline and learn about all of the parallels that people in Kenya with disabilities share with people here in the United States and really in all countries across the globe. But I know that Angeline is committed to shifting the paradigm so that people with disabilities in Kenya are granted the rights that they deserve. And I'm really excited for all of her hard work to come to fruition. Now, you can find transcripts and American Sign Language interpretations for today's episode and each and every episode, in fact, of What's Up WID on our website at www.wid.org/what's-up-wid. And I would like to just thank Angeline once again for the wonderful conversation. She was absolutely amazing. And thank you all at home for listening, watching, or reading today's episode. And I will talk to you all next time.